Hey everybody, and welcome back to Dwain Woode MD Live and to Limitless Living. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I encourage, empower, and encourage you to take charge of your health, your life, and go to that next level. We are creating the life we've always wanted, and right now we are living that limitless life. Over the last several weeks, we have been talking about the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. And we've been walking through this transformational process. We've talked about walking, your rhythm, fasting, your strength, and your reset. And we talked about strength training, which is the metabolic upgrade. And now it's time to talk about the fuel. Tonight we are introducing pillar number 4 of the Health Action Plan, Balanced Bites. Because what you eat, how you eat, and why you eat is just as important as whether you move and whether you fast. So welcome back. If you're new to me, as I said, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. Go ahead and put new in the comments because we'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we are glad and happy that you're here. If you have questions, go ahead and put those in the comments because we want to make sure that we get to those as we move throughout our show tonight. I'm excited. I'm excited because this is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a fun one. I enjoy all of them, but most people spend a lot of time talking about food. So we're going to get a chance to dive into that in depth as we move through the rest of the plan. I see some of our community members out there already. We're going to go ahead and say hi to you guys in just a minute. We're going to take a look at blood sugars and what my monitors have been saying over the last several days. Let's hop over. You see, I've got my meters next to me. We're going to take a look at blood sugars and, of course, taking a look at my ketones. So if you think you know what my ketones are going to be, go ahead and drop those in the comments. Right below me, that is my Dexcom Clarity Report, which we'll take a look at to see what's been going on since I broke my fast last week at the end of our 72. Actually, it turned out to be 74 plus hours of fasting, but we'll take a look at that here in just a minute. The other thing that I want to talk about is all the things that are going on our channel. One of the most fascinating things that's happening right now is we are in the process of our strength strategy and mindset series, which is part of our MOVE campaign, right? It's metabolic optimization via exercise. Metabolic optimization via exercise. We did our 100-day walk to consistency, which was, we started at the beginning of the year and did 109 days of walking. Then we started the strength strategy and mindset, and we are now on day number 30, right, going into day number 31. So it is an opportunity for you to implement the things that we are learning here on the show as we walk through on the main show, and then we have all of these components that we have available to you. So it's 30 minutes in the morning that we're doing strength training, some amazing things. I'm going to go ahead and pop up so you can see that playlist that we have there. Like I said, we are on day number 30. Yeah, 30 today. Tomorrow is going to be 31. And so you want to make sure that you're getting in there. We're optimizing our metabolism, and we're using exercise as a key component of that. The Health Action Plan has lots of features to it, but we want to make sure that you are taking advantage of the opportunity to implement those each day. Remember, people don't succeed not because they don't have vision, not because they don't have drive, not because they don't have motivation, not even because they don't have know-how. They don't succeed often because they don't have structure. And we're providing that structure for you on a daily basis. So make sure you get in there and get to that. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. Let's take a look at blood sugars. Let me get rid of that. And so right now my blood sugar is 80, and we're looking at this graph right about here. You'll see the white squiggly line that's running through kind of the, I guess that's a forest green maybe, or olive green. And you'll see for most of the day, my blood sugar has been 100 or right above 100 or below. I haven't dipped below 70, but it's been actually pretty good. Let's take a look and see what my Dexcom is showing. And you see Dexcom is showing 103. Let me go ahead and I'm going to do a 24-hour so you can see what we've been over the last day or so. 101, 102, 120s, 116. That's what I like about the Dexcom. I can actually put my finger and run it over. Right here this morning, we went from 130 up to, I think the highest I got was 130, 135 maybe. And as you guys know, right in here is where I usually have my spike, because that's where I brush my teeth. And gets up to 130, and then starts coming back down. And then right about here, so had lunch. I had a salad. What did I have? A salad with some meatballs in it. That's right, I said salad with meatballs. Yeah, I'm weird. And that spiked up to about 121, and then back down into the 100s. Okay, so that's what I've been. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at my monitors. So I've got my Keto Mojo, and I've got my contour monitor here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to grab. Let's go over here. Grab a test strip out of our container. And what do you think my ketones are going to be? So I have not been fasting since we broke our fast on what's that, 3 days ago probably. So I've got my monitor. I've got a blue for ketones, brown for glucose, and I need a lancet. Let's go ahead and grab that out. Get this back over here. And then I also need a strip for the contour. All right, so let's go ahead and get that in. Boom, boom. And I'm going to open up the ketone strip first for the Keto Mojo, and then get a drop of blood. All right, here we go. And if you have not been monitoring, I recommend that everybody start monitoring if you are interested in metabolism. Right? So people say, well, I'm not diabetic. Well, you don't have to be diabetic. You just want to know what different things are doing to your body, whether it's food, sleep, activity. And so here's my lancet. And you can pick up a monitor relatively inexpensively at any of your pharmacies. Ow, that hurt. So let's see if I get, yeah, that was a good drop. I thought I was going to get a bigger one because I thought that was much deeper. All right, so let's see. Is this going to work? Okay, come on. Let's see. Come on. I need, okay, there you go. That's a good drop. So I need 2 more. So let's go ahead and see if we can milk this. I think I may end up having to, 87 is what the Keto Mojo says. And let's get that out and get a ketone strip in quickly because I don't want that blood to dry. Here we are. All right. Come on. One more. I think I can get it. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'm glad I didn't have to poke myself again. So what do you think my ketones are? Go ahead and drop that in the comments. All right, and let's get back over here. So 0.3, right? So remember, ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. And so since I'm not fasting and I'm not on a ketogenic diet, that's what my blood sugars are. Right now. All right, and then let's hop over and take a look at my actual reports. And so here is what my average blood sugar is right now. That's 118. My glucose management indicator, 6.1. So if I were to get an A1C, that's what it would approximate. I can't call it an A1C because it is an approximation. It's a calculation. I'm in range 99% of the time, target being anywhere from 70 to 180. And if I were to go to our 90-day, you'll see there that my average 113 with glucose management indicator of 6.1, which is really cool. In target 94% of the time, and in the range 70 to 180. Awesome. If I actually look at my blood sugars, And this is interesting because I want you to see what's been going on. So let me back up and then we'll come forward. Okay, so broke the fast right in here after 70, actually a little later, right here, after 72 hours, broke the fast. And let me go ahead. I'm going to run my. Let me do a different one so you can see a bigger representation of that. So run my my mouse over this. So 94. And if you didn't see what I broke the fast with, go back and watch that. And over the course of the next several hours, 94, popped up, got up to about 126. 126, got up to 135. And so for the next, almost looked like 24 hours, we were in the lower 100s, right there. And that's right there. That's about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Right. So that was toothpaste effect once again. So I started higher. So my blood sugar spiked higher after toothpaste. And here. So here is Saturday eating lunch. And so here I had, and this is an interesting story. So every week I cook jerk chicken and I cook, let me move over a little bit, jerk chicken and curry. And so for lunch, we had curry. Now, and we'll talk about this as we go on. So I was watching something recently and someone was eating, a dish that was made, and they said this doesn't taste good without carbs. And let me put it out there. There are some things that I eat that, honestly, they don't taste good without carbs. So anyway, so with the curry, I had some rice, and that's what you see right here. We went from a 97. I want you to watch that. 97. I had not even a whole third of a cup of rice, and look at that. We spiked up to 157. Now we have a community member who is actually out there right now who says that he has sworn off rice, I think. And that's probably the effect there. So we went from a 97 up to 150 and then came back down over the course of the next several hours. And then once again, right in here, 130s. I think the highest it got here was 160, and that was coming into the morning after that Saturday, and then 120s. Right in here, I had some trouble with my Dexcom. I was outside working, and my Dexcom came off. I put another one on, and then kept working outside, and that one fell off. And so I waited until I was finished working outside in the yard, and then I put a new one on. So that's what you see, these two bricks. It fell off here. I worked for a little bit, put another one on about an hour later, or 30 minutes later, and it took that long to warm up. And then wore it for a little while, it fell off again, and then I added another one. Okay? So that's what you're seeing, those blood sugars. And then, of course, into today, blood sugars in the low 100s. I think the highest I got there was maybe 130. And that was this morning, once again, coming out into the afternoon, and then having lunch right in here. And what you're seeing right now is the lunch, that was the lunch effect right there, 121. Okay. And so that's what the blood sugars have been doing over the last 3 days since we broke our fast. And I want you to notice something that, so normally, if I were not fasting, all of these blood sugars that you see here in the days afterwards would have been much higher. And as we talked about when we did our discussion last week, is that when you're fasting, when you are strength training, your body is primed to actually suck the sugar up and to utilize it. And so what you're seeing here is partially an effect from that. Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members, because I see some of you out there. Let's say that, and then we'll hop over and get into our discussion. And let's see what we got. And I think Pam was the first one on. Hey, Pam, how are you doing? Pam is saying, hello, everyone. Let me get that up on the screen. Yeah, Pam says, hello, everyone. Steve is saying, hello. Hey, Steve, what's up? Bowie says, hi, y'all. Did you get rid of those Cadbury's? So here's an interesting thing. Can I show this? I'm gonna show it. Let me see. Where is that video? Where's that video? I think I posted this video in our community area. So I'm gonna see if I can. Let's see. Can I do it here? Hold on a second. Let me try something. No, that's not right. Let's go over here. Try to see if I can show you what I have. Okay, I'll just do it this way. So you should be able to see it if I pull it up this way. Here we go. Yeah. So this. Let's see if I can turn it. Yeah. So that was. You guys see that? I think I lost my mind. Yeah, so I posted that in our community area with a message. So they are still in the freezer, by the way. They are still in the freezer. I haven't gotten rid. I should get rid of him. Boy, can you come get him, please? I need an intervention. That's what I need. I need an intervention from somebody. So no, I did not. And so family said he froze them. I think that's right. I did. Yeah. So Pam was laughing. She said probably didn't get it done. Steve Skeller said it's unfortunate, and Steve, I think you're talking about the rice. Is that right? And Teresa said, "Hey, doctor and everyone," and then Boy says, "Hi, Teresa." Gina, hey Gina, what's up? In the key of G, y'all. If you've not checked out Gina, make sure you get over there. In the key of G. Hi, Doc. What's up? What's up? She said, "Did you eat all of those?" No, I did not eat all of those, Gina. But please, like I said, I need an intervention. All right. Well, whatever platform you're on right now, thank you for coming through. Whether you're on LinkedIn, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. Let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's get into our discussion for this episode. All right, so tonight we are introducing pillar number 4 of the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, which we term Balanced Bites. Because as I mentioned before, what you eat, how you eat, and why you eat is just as important as whether you move or you fast. Remember, the first 3 pillars of the Health Action Plan are walking, fasting, and strength training. So Balanced Bites is a component of that, and it is the third component. It is in that second tier. Remember, the first tier is walking and fasting. Those are the low-hanging fruits. You can do that without any investment. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to join anything. You don't have to go anywhere. It's just making sure that you are following up with your healthcare provider, and even that. Right? You're saying, hey, this is what my plan is, right? And so if you have medication, maybe you need to adjust those. But other than that, those are things that right now, at this moment, most of us can get up and do, walking and fasting. The strength training, and remember, walking is kind of that gets us in the rhythm, right? Being able to do something on a consistent basis. The fasting resets our body as we walk through that process. And the strength training helps us to build up and supercharge the body to be able to do and to be able to access the benefits of the things that we have done in the walking and in the fasting. And so now what we fuel the body with is very important. And Balanced Bites, I want you to be clear, it is not a diet. It's not a meal plan. It is a framework for how we think about food. And it's a way of fueling your body so that it heals and not harms you. It energizes you and does not exhaust you. So as we walk through this, what we're going to be learning about Balanced Bites is that we'll learn how to eat to keep the insulin levels low and energy high, what it means to balance bites with protein, fat, fiber, and all those things that we talk about, why food timing and food quality matters more than the calories themselves and calorie counting, and how to train your taste buds to support, not to sabotage your progress. So if you're ready to stop obsessing over diets and start eating in a way that works with your body, not against it, this is the place for you. This is where you want to be. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to break that down as we move through this concept. Now, this is a packed discussion that we're going to have, and there are several components to it, and we'll kind of outline several of those to you as we move through. How you eat for healing, for energy, for metabolism, all that is what we're going to be talking about. Okay? All right. So we've already laid a powerful foundation through the first three pillars, as we talked about: walking your rhythm, fasting your reset, strength training your upgrade. And now we're talking about the fueling. And balanced bites is the place. It is the concept on how we think about food, because much of what happens as it relates to food happens up here. Let me pause there for a minute. And that is the first concept that we want to make sure that you're getting. Much of our interaction with food has nothing to do with the body. Come on. It has nothing to do with the body needing the food. It has nothing to do with your body needing energy. Much of our interaction with food has to do with what our thoughts about food are. The routines that we get into, and we've talked about this in the HEAT model: habits, emotions, access, and taste. The routines that we get into where we simply eat things because that's just what we do. I tell the story of, so my son, we got pregnant and we were excited and we ate to celebrate. And then, we go to the doctor and, we come at some point and we found out the sex. And we say, okay, we don't want to know. We don't want to know. Don't tell us. Right? Put it in an envelope. And we went and we found out what the sex was and we ate to celebrate. And then he was born. Well, before he was born, right? So everybody brought us together and we got the showers and stuff. And what did we do during the showers? We ate. And then he was born. We took him to church. They blessed him. And we had a big celebration. We ate. So it's just what we do. It is a routine. We eat because of habits. We eat because of emotions. When you're sad, you eat. When you're glad, you eat. When you're mad, you eat. When you're frustrated, you eat. When you're bored, you eat. When you're tired, you eat. I should stop saying you, but we eat. We eat because things are just around us. Hey, why'd you eat that? Well, I saw it in the kitchen. And we eat because the food brings back the memories of a different time and a different space that we were in. That time when we were with that person, when we felt that way and we ate that thing. Yeah. So much of it has to do with our thoughts about food and not our physical bodies needing food. And so balanced bites is a mindset. It's a system that helps you make every bite count towards healing. But understanding that a lot of it comes from the brain, from the mind, is very, very important. So why does balanced bites matter? Why does balanced bites matter? And balanced bites matters because if we are not careful, we will end up undoing the things from the first three pillars during the idea of balanced bites. That's why it's important. You can walk daily. You can fast consistently. You can even strength train 3 times a week. But if you fuel the body with inflammatory, processed, high sugary content, you will always be fighting an uphill battle. If I had to pick And I don't like to pick, but I'm gonna let's do it for instance. If you force me to say, hey, of all the things that you talk about, what is the one thing that people can do? If they can only do one thing, I would say balance bites. Because you cannot undo in the gym. You cannot undo in the workout area what you have done in the kitchen if you're not careful. I want you to listen. Listen. Food is information to the body. Every bite you take tells your body something. We often talk about the calories that come from the food that we eat, but there's a whole lot more. Food tells our body whether to burn or to store. It tells us whether to be healed or to inflame. It tells us our blood sugar whether to be stable or to spike. So balanced bites is about eating in a way that sends your body the right signals. This is especially important if you are working to reverse insulin resistance, diabetes, chronic inflammation, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I can go down the list. See, your food needs to support the work your fasting and your movement are doing. We talk about rhythm, alignment, and structure. Rhythm, alignment, and structure, RAS. Rhythm is the general tenure of your life. What are you about? What do you say you want to be? What do you say you want to do? And many of us say we want to be healthy. Okay, we have that idea. We want to be healthy. That's the rhythm, right? So what is our goal? What is with our health? What is the goal for our health? And you have goals for lots of different things, right? So what's the rhythm within health? I want to be healthy. The alignment is, are the things you're doing telling you or taking you in that direction? Rhythm, alignment, and structure. Are they taking you there? If they're not, if you're trying to go to New York and you're heading to Florida, guess what? You're driving, you're moving, but you're not going in the right direction. And so, are the things we're doing sending us in the right direction? Rhythm, alignment, and structure. And then structure, do you have things in place that will help you move in that direction? And that's what the health action plan is. It is a plan, it is a structure to help you head in that direction. Okay? And so the balanced bites, right? Every bite counts. Every bite counts. Remember that concept. Let's walk through. There are 7 guiding principles to balanced bites that will be your compass as you're thinking about food. Now, let me preface this by saying some people are going to take balanced bites and they're going to use it like a stick. And they're going to wrap people on the knuckle if people are not walking through balanced bites. That's not the purpose of balanced bites. Balanced bites is not intended to give you a list of do's and a list of don'ts. It is intended as you're thinking about food. Remember we talked about rhythm alignment? As you're thinking about food, balanced bites gives you the alignment of the food that you're eating with what you say you want. If you say you want to decrease inflammation and everything you eat is full of processed sugar, guess what? You're saying one thing, but you're doing something else. So it is intended to give you guidelines for how to think about food. That does not mean also that there won't be a time on your birthday, on your anniversary, on your whatever, family function, your Christmas, Thanksgiving, there won't be a time that you're going to eat something that doesn't totally follow balanced bites. That's not what it means. It means that your general tenure of your life, when you're thinking about your food, generally, just like fasting is a tool and walking is a tool and strength training is a tool, there are people who you don't do it every day. But if you never do it, that's a problem. So Balanced Bites is intended for you to be able to look and think and walk through a process of looking at your food and saying, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay? Balanced Bites is a comprehensive action plan to reverse diabetes and restore metabolic health, because we have said that it is the dysfunctional metabolism that causes us the problem. Dysfunctional metabolism is what causes the problem. And the health action plan is a structure that lists 7 components that if you follow them, this will help you move into the space of being healthy. And of course, Balanced Bites. So that's why Balanced Bites counts. So let's talk about the components. And we're going to list them here, and then we're going to walk through each one. We're going to actually come back and do an in-depth discussion of each one of these. But let's walk through them. So number 1, whole foods. Whole foods first. And notice what it says, whole foods first. So if you're looking at a table and there's a bunch of stuff on the table, you want to begin picking things from the table that are whole. Stick to ingredients you can recognize. Right. Now, I'm gonna pick on some foods, not because I don't like those foods, but just they're pickable. So if you're sitting at a table and you're looking at a quiche, I don't eat quiche, but well, I shouldn't say I don't eat quiche, but you get quiche, and then on the table there's some greens, some spinach. There's a salad. There's green beans. There's peas. There's carrots. There's a piece of chicken, right? Some fish. Then what are you heading to? You're not heading to the quiche. You're heading to the whole foods. And whole foods simply means that you are eating foods that are as close as possible to their original form. If it comes in a box with a barcode and a shelf life of 5 years, that's probably not a whole food. Right? So whole foods first. That does not mean that you are not going to have quiche or whatever else is there. It just means as you are thinking about what I'm eating, the very first thing that I'm going to pick from the table, from the list, from the things I have access to are the whole foods. You go to a fast food restaurant. Yep, I said it. You go to a fast food restaurant and you're looking at the menu, then the things you should be eating from that menu are whole foods. So when they say to you, would you like to upgrade that with one of our pies? The answer to them is it whole? Right? But you get the idea. And the reason I threw that in there is because I want you to understand that any place you go, any place you are, you always have a choice for what you eat. Because many people say, oh, all I can do is eat at the fast food restaurant, so they only have things that are unhealthy. And the answer to that is actually no, that's not true. You can go to a fast food restaurant and off of their menu, you can pick things that are still consistent with whole foods. Okay? All right. Number 2, we're talking about whole foods. So we minimize processed foods. Now this goes along with whole foods. So you minimize processing. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be aware. You want to limit refined flours, seed oils, synthetic additives. If you're reading a package and you can't recognize half of the things on there, that's probably something that you should not have as at the top of your list of things you're going to eat. Why is that the case? That's the case because in the processing, there are lots of things that are done to the food that can be detrimental to your metabolism. One of the things people say to me is, we talk about flour, and let's pick on flour. Back in the day, when you got a piece of bread, a slice of bread, you could almost see the wheat in the bread. That's how coarse it was. But as we became better at milling and better at processing and better at refining, right, so that we could make longer shelf life things, we could make lots of different substances, we could form it, we could do lots of different things with it, we began grinding that wheat finer and finer and finer and finer, right? So if you get some flour right now and you hold it in your finger and you do like that, it's almost like silk, how fine it is. Now, just a simple process there. If I take the flour, right, that we have today, and I compare it to the flour that we had before, the flour from today gets absorbed a lot faster. It's not that the flour from before was a different flour. I mean, that there is that idea also, but it was just that stuff, all of it didn't get absorbed. There was all the fiber and the bulk and all that stuff in it. But now when I eat a piece of bread, it's like taking an IV and throwing sugar in my bloodstream. And that process causes a big spike in our blood sugar. That's why we get bigger spikes in our blood sugar in that food compared to the other. And as a result, our body has to produce insulin, for those of you who are not diabetic, or you have to take medication or insulin if you are diabetic to modify or bring those blood sugars down. And because of that, because the insulin comes and the insulin is required, then we get all of the downstream problems from the insulin. And then a lot of the processed foods are pro-inflammatory. And we know that inflammation impacts our metabolism. So minimize processed foods. The next is no added sugar. This one is crucial. Why? Because sugar, let me put that back up. Sugar spikes our blood sugar, right? So you take sugar in and we get a rise in blood sugar. In order for the body to process the sugar, it has to bring insulin. Insulin, when it comes out, blocks fat burning. It drives cravings. It improves or enhances fat storage. So people say, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that I can't drink orange juice or I can't drink this? And that's not what we mean. Let me give you a couple of examples, right? There are a couple of thoughts here. Number one, if you go to the grocery store, you can buy juice, two containers of juice. One will say total number of carbs, and it'll give you a list of carbs. Say 15 grams of carbs. And the other one says 4 total grams of carbs, and it says 15. But below that, it will say, one will say 0 added sugar, and one will say 3, 4, 5 grams of added sugar. So what has happened is the one that says no added sugar, they took the oranges, they squeezed them, they processed them, they put it in a container. Nothing was added. Maybe some calcium and vitamin D or something like that. The other one, they took it, did the same process, and then they added sugar to it to make it taste better. It is the added sugar that's the problem. It's not the fact that the carbs coming from the substance, from the food, is a problem themselves. It is that we've added sugar to one compared to the other. And the added sugar now causes a spike in blood sugar, a bigger spike in blood sugar. We get more insulin. Insulin comes out, and insulin causes the downstream problems. Okay, that's the first thought. The next thought is, and this goes back to the processing. In order to make an 8-ounce glass of juice, you have to squeeze probably about 4 to 7 oranges. 4 to 7 oranges for an 8-ounce glass of juice. Well, none of us, well, few of us, would sit down at any one sitting and eat 5 to 7 oranges. Maybe 1, 2, maybe 3. Maybe 4, but not 5 to 7. So the amount of sugar, carbs, that we get from the juice is much more than we would ever sit down and in a normal process eat. Not to mention that we also have the fiber that comes from the oranges when we're eating them, and anyway, there are a bunch of other things that come there that are not in the glass of juice. And to make things even more interesting, most of us, we go to a restaurant, for example, or you're at a hotel, because I love, there's a hotel that I go to, they give you breakfast. And I used to tell my wife, we're not staying anywhere else other than this hotel. Why? Because they gave us food. But you would go down and you get an 8-ounce glass of juice and you drink it. And you sit down, you eat, and you go back and you get another one and you drink it. And you sit down, you eat, and you get another one and you drink it. So we're drinking without even thinking. 3, maybe sometimes 4 of the 8-ounce glasses. Now I said each one is 5 to 7. So if we say we drink in 3, let's say 3 glasses, and each one is 5, that's 15 oranges. If each one is 7, that's 21 oranges that we would never sit down and just eat at one time, but we think nothing of it when we're drinking it. So that's one of the dangers of processing and the added sugar. You want to read those labels. Sugar hides in lots of different things, lots of different sources. They've got a lot of different names, and we'll talk more about that in another episode that we'll do. But read the labels. They hide in things like yogurt, sauces, even healthy snacks. And the whole idea of snacking is another concept we'll have to kind of dismantle. All right, so next. Lean protein and healthy fats. Lean proteins and healthy fats. These are your hunger killers and your hormonal stabilizers. If you want not to be hungry, make sure you're getting in a lot of protein. One of the things that we talk about during strength training is that you have to have enough protein if you're actually doing enough so that your body has enough protein to rebuild. We've talked about growth hormone preserving muscles, but if we want to build muscles and improve the ability of the body to heal and to recover, we got to make sure we get in enough protein. For those of you out there who are doing strength training, bodybuilding, you are trying to tone, then the recommendation is about 1 gram of 1 gram of protein for every kilogram of weight. 1 gram protein for every kilogram of weight. If you have kidney problems, you should talk to your doctors about how much protein you can take in. Okay, so that's about right. So proteins and fats will help to stabilize the body. It helps you keep fuller longer. It sends signals to your brain that you are not hungry. It slows the GI tract. It produces substances in your body that will help your body not crave food. So good sources would be eggs, chicken, salmon, grass-fed beef, avocados, olives, nuts, seeds. So lean protein and healthy snacks. And you, if you've watched, you've seen me do, when I break my fast, and recently as I've been starting my fast, we've been using this concept. The next is starchy and not starchy vegetables. Carbohydrates are not the enemy. Come on. Carbohydrates are not the enemy. Let me do this so you can see me. Can I say that again? Carbohydrates are not the enemy. Uncontrolled carbohydrates are the enemy. Balanced bites says that there has to be balance. So as you're thinking about carbohydrates, and we're thinking about vegetables, and that's typically where we get our carbohydrates from, right? Unless you're eating and even then they're carbs. Unless you're thinking about candy and those types of things. If you're thinking about a meal, we're talking about vegetables typically. We're talking about wheat products. So where do carbs come from? Anything that grows out of the ground contains carbs. Let me say it again. Anything that grows out of the ground contains carbs. That means that it's not just the wheat that goes to the flour. It's not just the rice. It's not just the wheat that causes the pasta. It's not just the wheat that makes the bread. It is also the lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers and broccoli and celery and Brussels sprouts and collard greens and mustard greens and turnip greens and black eyed peas and navy beans and lima beans and black, right? All of those contain carbs. So it is the uncontrolled carb intake that causes the problem. So balancing things like lentils and greens, cruciferous vegetables, salads, squash, sweet potatoes. And here's the thing. You heard me mention before that Balanced Bites is not intended for you to get a list of do's and don'ts. It is intended for you to generally have some structure to the thought process about foods. So anytime you're sitting down and you're looking at the foods that are on the table, on the menu, on your plate, this is what should be going through your head. Okay, is it whole foods? Is it processed? Is there added sugar? Do we have lean protein and healthy fats? Are there starchy and non-starchy vegetables here? And so here's the interesting thing, right? So when we talk about starchy and non-starchy vegetables, people immediately think about rice, pasta, and bread. And so, well, I can't have any of that. And it is not that you cannot have any of that. It is also a balanced idea. Now, for personal reasons, some people may decide, like I said, we have people who have decided, okay, rice is off the limits. I don't eat a lot of rice compared to what I used to eat. In fact, I rarely eat rice now. But there are certain foods that I eat. I have some rice, and guess what? Rice is a starchy component to my meal. Squash, starchy. Broccoli, non-starchy. Green beans, non-starchy. Green peas, starchy. Carrots, starchy. Right? So even within vegetables, there are those things. Now, the important thing is, and I am a big proponent of monitoring. You should be monitoring your blood sugars. You should be monitoring your body. You should be checking to see what different foods do. I think it is essential for people who are working on metabolism. And you will begin learning the types of foods that will cause big spikes in blood sugar. And then you make a decision on how you interact with those foods. Okay. And then tasty and flavorful. Tasty and flavorful. Now, I got to say this. I have had some healthy foods that they said was healthy, and I ate it, and I'm like, okay, never, ever again am I gonna have this, okay? Now, as I say that, I want you to understand that we are not in the process of saying, hey, we're not eating healthy things. But please, as you're preparing the dish, as you are thinking about it, and we will do conversations about how to make things taste better, how to flavor them, how to season it. Make it taste good. You should want to eat it. You should want to eat this way. Season your food. Try a new recipe. Eat slowly. Celebrate the process. Make it enjoyable. Otherwise, the process of going through and doing this is going to be very short-lived because your brain is going to rebel. You're going to rebel. Tasty and enjoyable. And then you want to make sure that it is portion controlled. What does that mean? It means that you want to think about the quantity of the food that you're eating. Just because it comes in the package doesn't mean that's a quantity or that's how much you should eat. Just because they give you the plate at the restaurant doesn't mean that that's all you should eat all of that. Begin becoming aware of how much you're eating. Your stomach will adjust to the size of the quantities that you are used to. When people have bariatric surgery, their stomachs, depending on the types they have, are much smaller. Right? If you had the old type, I mean, they actually cut parts of the stomach out, make it smaller. You have a little pouch. If you do one of the new ones, they kind of band it, right? Or other ways of this, like the sleeve and so forth. Do you know it's possible to have someone who has had surgery, even the type where they actually cut a part of the stomach out, and have them eat so much that they actually put the weight back on? Why? Because their stomach has the ability to stretch. Now, there are some people who, I mean, their stomach is not stretching, but they eat, and it is uncomfortable sometimes when people are eating more than their stomach will hold, but they will go through the discomfort of eating if they're not careful with the portion sizes. Use smaller plates. Eat until you're satisfied, not until you're stuffed. Remember, it takes about 20 minutes for the signal to get from your stomach to your brain. So I have started eating much slower. As a matter of fact, when I sit with my family, sometimes I don't get the whole thing. I get a salad, we eat, and I sit and I chit chat, and then I get up and I go and get what's considered the main meal. Because by then, the salad has gotten down there, and my brain says, hey, there's some stuff over there. Okay, so we don't need as much of this other stuff. We've gotten used to super portions. We traveled to Europe recently. We were in London, we were in Paris. And we went to one restaurant. And of course, I just shouldn't even say there, but even here, there are times when I used to go to restaurants. I used to go to restaurants, and I'd sit there and I'd order something, and they'd bring this plate, big plate, with this little thing in the middle, and I got mad. I'm like, what is this? Because I was used to, my thought process was much more expansive. I need lots of stuff. But begin learning how to eat until you're satisfied and not until you are stuffed. Practice mindful eating. That is so important. There are hormonal balances or hormonal powers that come from Balanced Bites. Balanced Bites, the process that we just talked about, is not just about avoiding junk food. It's about balancing your hormones, the real drivers of hunger, fat storage, energy, and cravings. It is a hormonal problem. Everybody's talking about sugar, but it's not a sugar problem. Everybody's talking about weight, but it's not a weight problem. Everybody's talking about fatty liver and high blood pressure and high cholesterol and all those things. That is not the problem. Those are the symptoms. Those are the consequences. It is a hormonal balance issue. It is a dysfunctional metabolism. And the foods that we eat give signals to the body on how to handle the process. And when we fuel the body with the right things, then those hormones become regulated and our dysfunctional metabolism becomes normal again. Things like insulin, which controls our average blood sugar, that when we control that, it avoids the storage, it avoids the cravings. Leptin and ghrelin, which are hunger and satiety and hunger hormones, respectively, they reset the body in terms of how we process meals. Ghrelin is tamed by getting enough protein and fat at each meal. Cortisol is lowered by regular meals, rhythm, hydration, sleep. If you've ever felt out of control with food, it wasn't a willpower problem. It was a hormonal misfire. Balanced Bites brings those hormones back into balance. And so, as we are talking through Balanced Bites, remember, every bite counts. This is a framework for how to think about food, not just, hey, I'm going on this diet, but every day when you're thinking about food, this is what should be running through your mind. Not that you're sitting down and making this a drudgery, but boom, boom. Okay, am I hitting how many of those am I hitting? And that is your challenge for this week. Begin processing food with that list. How am I doing with that? Is this meal, does it fit those criteria? And you're not going home tonight, and throwing away everything in your closet, in your cabinets, everything in your pantry. That's not what you're doing. You are beginning now to align. Remember alignment, rhythm, alignment, and structure. You're beginning to align now how you're eating with what you say you want to have. And that's the goal. Begin processing all your food through Balanced Bites. Begin memorizing, adopting, incorporating that concept in your food thoughts. And if you do that, you will find that you are now improving your metabolism, and you will see amazing benefits that you never thought you could have. Amazing, amazing Balanced Bites. Every bite counts. Begin fueling your body with Balanced Bites, and you will get amazing results. All right, so Balanced Bites. Now we will come back, as I said, and we will do additional episodes on each of those components as we're walking through the process. Later this week, we will do our fasting check-ins. We will start. We'll be starting fast tomorrow, and then on Wednesday we'll do a check-in. Thursday we'll do a check-in. Friday we'll do a check-in. And those will be tied into Balanced Bites, right? So how do I eat during my non-fasting times that supports Balanced Bites and support the fasting that we're doing? Okay, so all of that is super, super important, and you want to make sure that you are here because food is so ubiquitous. It is involved in almost every activity that we can ever find ourselves in. You go to the ball game, it's there. Your kids are having a birthday, it's there. You go to church, it's there. You go to, as a matter of fact, sometimes at your job, which has nothing to do with food, somebody's got some candy, they've got some, the break room's got some stuff. It is just everywhere. It's everywhere. And you want to make sure that you are looking at those. One of the things that I do want to do, and let me go back and do that quickly, is show you what a breakfast looks like. Let's see, where is that? What a breakfast looks like. Let's do this one. Okay, so there are two eggs, two scrambled eggs with olive oil. Right, is what those were scrambled in. Half of an avocado, sautéed spinach with garlic, and then some herbal tea. So we've got what? We've got protein, right? The eggs. We've got the fat. And I mean, fat and carbs are there. You've got the spinach, right, which gives you the starchy or non-starchy vegetables. The starchy part, I guess, comes from the avocado, and then just some hydration. So that the tea is not really a part of that. Although we probably should add hydration to the whole concept, right? So that's an overshadowing idea that you want to do. But this would be a breakfast. Now, if you are out there and you say, okay, I want to add, some meat, you can have a piece of steak, you can have chicken, you can have sausage. Now, notice a couple of things, and let's kind of talk through this a bit. This does not have a biscuit and gravy. This does not have pancakes or waffles. And it's not that you can't have those. And it doesn't actually even have toast. And it's not that you can't have those, but it is that you understand that those things will cause bigger spikes in blood sugar. So if you are going to eat them, they should not be every day in breakfast. You notice that there's no Pop-Tarts in there. There's no muffin there. There's not a bagel in there. Okay, I'm pausing because I can hear you. Say, well, I eat a biscuit and gravy every morning. Right, that's a whole nother conversation. Okay, all right. So let's hop over and let's say I think we see some of our community members out there, and let's go back and grab up some of these comments. So. Steve says, yeah, okay. So Gina said, oh, LOL. Gina said, I do understand. Lord help us. I sent you a star. Okay, thank you, Gina. We're talking about the Cadburys. Gion says, hi, Doc, and Limitless Living Gang. Bowie says, hi, Gion. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Bowie. Hi, Pam. Hi, Steve, from everybody. Let your son share them with his school friends. Oh, Boy's talking about you're talking about the Cadburys? Gina said, it's true. Rachel Lee says, true. Sometimes I eat to stay awake. Yep, we do it. It's all involved in so many of our things that we do. Boy says, I'm trying to also role model healthy food relationships with my child by teaching her about balanced bites. Then I can reinforce myself to do it before. Yep. The idea is so important, right? That it is a wonder that we don't talk to our children and talk about this generally, because it is so fundamental to a lot of things that they will get into if we're not careful. Okay. Cornelia says, hello, Limitless Living Gang. Gion says, hi, Cornelia. Hi, Cornelia from Bowie. Jennifer says, started watching, then heavy rain hit. One of the downspouts was plugged. Open now, but I'm a bit on the looking like a drowning drowning cat. Well, glad that you were able to hop back on. Jennifer, Gion says, oh, Jennifer. And Pam says, glad you got it taken care of. Definitely. All right. So we will, and this is the fourth component, of the Health Action Plan. We'll come back and we will talk as we move through the process of walking through the plan. We will spend more time talking about balanced bites and the different components of it, right? Whole foods, minimized processing, no added sugar, healthy fats, lean protein, healthy fats, starchy, non-starchy vegetables, portion control, and tasty. All of those are so important. So begin this week. If you've not been processing food in that way, that's what I want you to do. Right? I don't need you to go throw anything away. I just need you to begin incorporating this concept, this thought process into what you do. Balanced bites. Every bite counts. Everything that we put in our mouth gives our body a signal. Okay. All right. And so that brings us to the fact that everything that we do is built on this idea of our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the podcast, with the blog. We empower with the tools that we're using, tools that we're learning, right? The Health Action Plan, the 100-day walk to consistency, the strength training and strength, strategy, and mindset, balanced bites, right? So all of those are components that we're using to put into practice the things that we are learning. And notice the name of this functional arm of limitless living when it comes to health. It's called the Health Action Plan. Why action? Because it gets power, it gets energy, it comes alive when you infuse it with your behavior. Thinking about it is great, watching the video is great, writing about it in your journal is terrific, but it does not have full potential, or it doesn't unleash its full potential until you are actually doing. So commit right now to doing, right? The Health Action Plan. And as we walk through this process, you will find that you have an amazing benefit of improving your metabolism, getting insulin sensitivity, your weight will go down. And by the way, I did not show, let's go ahead and do that. I did not show what my weight was today, and it is, let's go back over there. Oops, there we are. Right, and so this is what my weight was today, 191. Remember, we ended last week at 188, I think. Oh, no, 189, I believe was what it was. So 191 is what you see there on the screen. And so as you watch, right, you will see within 2 to 3 pounds, sometimes 4 or 5 pounds, around fasting is what you'll see fluctuation. And so that's what I'm trying to maintain. Now, there's some other weight goals that I have, because you see my BMI there is 27. And so we've got about 10 to 12 more pounds to get to the BMI that we're shooting for. Now, I'm here because I'm in the process of stabilizing the things that I'm doing, right? So I want to make sure that I'm doing long term. So as you're thinking about weight management, we tell people between a half a pound to a pound a week is what you should be losing. That's sustainable. If you're on one of the GLPs, you'll probably lose weight much faster than that. But the idea behind weight loss is not the rapidity with which you lose the weight, but it's the sustainability that comes following the weight loss. Yeah, that's the important part. Okay, so as you're walking through the process, the Health Action Plan is also beneficial because it gives you a framework that will help you to sustain the weight that you've lost on one of the GLPs. And when I say GLP, I'm talking about things like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Zepbound, any of the compounded products that are out there. Remember, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, the things that we do, the walking, the fasting, the strength training, the balanced bites, all of those have components and will do similar things as what the GLPs are doing. Because what do? They make you feel fuller longer. They help to decrease cravings. Right? Those are the two main things when it comes to, not for blood sugar management, but when we talk about weight. That's why people lose weight. And as we've outlined the 4 pillars that we've talked about so far, the walking, the fasting, the strength training, and now balanced bites, all 4 of those have components that do exactly the same thing as what the GLPs do. And so as we're walking through the process, and you guys know I'm a big proponent for GLPs. I love them. I think for the first time we have a group of medications that are doing for people what we have not been able to do for a long time. But as we're doing that, if we're not careful, we will find that we've put a lot of people on GLPs. They've lost a lot of weight. And if you follow the statistics, about 99%, over 90%, let me say that, of people who lose weight end up putting it back on. Why? Because there was not a structure. And they didn't learn the things they needed to learn as the weight was coming off to make it sustainable. So you don't want to lose 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds and then next year after, it's back on. because you did not learn the structure. And that's what we are presenting, is a structure that you will walk through. And we're doing this because we want this to be a long-term process. Okay. All right. So educate, empower, encourage. We educate with the show, with the blog, with the podcast. We empower with the tools that we're learning, and we encourage with the community that you are part of. So when you show up, I want you to get involved. Action, health action plan. Get involved. Let us know where you are. Let us know the benefits you're having. If you're having some challenges, put those in there, and let's work on it together. If you are not a part of our community, make sure you join our community. There should be a join button down there somewhere. Okay, so that you can, along with us, help to encourage each other, share stories, share successes that you've been having. And then here's the beautiful part that I want you to do. Limitless living says that I'm going to be successful, right? So I'm not allowing anything around me, inside of me, outside of me, to prevent me from being successful. But it also requires that as I'm successful, that I help other people be successful. So I've lost weight. My blood pressure is better. My blood sugars are better. My A1C is dropped. I'm more metabolically flexible. I can't keep that to myself. I have to help the over 1 billion people on the planet that are suffering for the same thing. So you are a voice. You are an ambassador for limitless living that says, hey, I know how I can help. I can show you, I can help you, I can walk you. And that's why you are a prime example of limitless living. So sometimes it's not about you telling people, but it's about you being the person. And they say, hey, what did you do that got you where you are? Right? But get out there and share. Say, hey, people, guys, we don't have to keep doing like this, because the numbers continue to grow, and you can be a voice for change and say, hey, we don't have to continue going blind, having heart attacks, having strokes, losing limbs, going on dialysis, right? All of those things, we don't have to continue doing it, because we can do it better. And that's what Limitless Living says. We will be back as we go through this week with our fasting. We'll do our start of fast tomorrow, right around 1 o'clock. We'll do our check-in on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And then we'll be back for the rest of the week. So we'll talk more about that as we move through the space. Thank you for being with me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode, and that's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we're living limitless lives. We're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our lives. Go and live a limitless life, and we'll see you at the next episode. Good night, everybody.